So I'm gonna check now and see if we're live on Instagram. Hello, everybody. Do a quick check. Okay, so we're live on Instagram. Okay. All right. So hello, hello, hello. For those joining us, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, thank you for joining us. I have the famous, incomparable, fantastic, exciting.
Those words might be a little extreme. Let's just say the very Jamaican.
the glowing, the scintillating Miss Paula Herbert. I am so honored that you will join us today. I am so honored.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been watching your fine work, and I just have to
thank you.
Commend you for all the work that you do to assist humanity, because this is what you do, and it is so important now. They need you, and you are showing up. And I have to thank you on behalf of everyone.
Well, thank you. Hold on a minute. It looks like my screen is frozen. Does it show me it's frozen at your end?
Yes, you are frozen. Yes, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, let's just hold on. I might have to, because remember when I was saying that sometimes, the whole thing might just do its thing. So I'm just waiting for it to get its act together here.
Okay.
Let's see here.
All right. I seem to be the only one on.
Switch myself off. Let me see, switching myself back on if that will help.
You seem to be frozen still.
Yes, it looks like I'm frozen. Hold on.
Do you think we should
now? If it disconnects, okay, we have someone. Do you know anyone called Miss Tamika? It looks like she's streaming on her platform or your platform.
No.
She's on section.
Well. It seems as if our platform did in fact connect. So I don't really know everyone that's on my YouTube, following, but nobody else, just you and I.
Okay, she's streaming. It looks like she's streaming. Okay, so hold on. If it disconnects, just get ready to click that link and come back.
Oh, not a problem. All right. Okay, so we flipped sides, so you're on the other side of the screen.
I don't know why.
I guess because you came on second, but at least you're not frozen, so
at least
that
I'm
makes
not
a lot more. Yeah, you're a lot more exciting this way. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
All righty. Let me check Instagram. Make sure that Instagram is still doing well. You know how they say Murphy's Law. Anything that will go wrong will go wrong.
Yes.
Let me see here. Okay, so Instagram. So Instagram is showing on Instagram, but the funny thing is, like, it's showing half of you and half of me on Instagram. Yeah, so which is strange. Like, you see that? See that?
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I don't know why it's,
do you think it has something to do with my camera settings or my device settings?
No. Okay. No. I'm seeing another person, Andrea W, is also paired and streaming to their platform. So I'm seeing a number of folks are streaming to their platforms. which I think is interesting. I don't know how they are doing that.
Is that because of the new platform that you're using that possibly opens up something?
Sorry?
Do you think this new platform is just, more allowing people to do that?
I don't know. I think I was supposed to share the link for streaming, but uh, I mean, you got me here. I'm not even sure. Okay, hold on.
Well,
Let's see if I can
uh,
fix.
some setting just changed a while ago.
Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see if I can fix the installation. No,
Okay.
it's not fixed.
Oh, the resolution issue
Yeah,
is there.
I'm just
Okay.
yeah, I'm changing some settings here to see if I can fix it on Instagram.
Okay.
And Instagram, no. I'm afraid we'll just have to do the best we
So,
can here.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
using these third-party software and applications sometimes can be a little bit funny, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to end it on Instagram.
Mhm.
Let me go ahead and stop the broadcast on Instagram. What it's supposed to do. Okay. So anyway, so hi everybody. I want to say a big ease in the house, the yardies in the hizzy. Um,
Yeah. Go
yeah,
Yardies. Go
because
Yardies. Representing.
yeah, go
Representing.
yardies, go yardies. Yeah, because believe it or not,
Mhm.
I've spoken with a number of Jamaicans this week, even
Mhm.
just before we connected for this live stream, Miss Paula, and
Mhm.
you would be amazed at how many of them actually personally know you. And they were like, when we saw that you were going to
Really?
be featuring her, they're like, I'm going to be on, I'm going to be
Oh,
on, I'm going
nice.
to be watching. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if you start hearing folks giving you a shout out from the crowd.
Nice. Very
Yes.
nice.
Yeah. They're
Well,
like,
I
oh
won't be
my
able to
God.
see. Remember, I told you I won't be able to see, but you can tell me.
Okay. But the comments are
Okay?
there, I'll try to see if there's a way I can make them big enough for you to see. One
No
person was
problem.
like, oh, I know her family. She comes from a Zen-like family, musical family. I was like,
Yes.
oh, really? Okay. So you see, so she knows you. She knows you. All right, folks,
Yes.
let's get into it. We were just trying to iron out our technical issues here. It is what it is, but the show must continue. The train must leave the station. Okay.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have the beautiful, scintillating, absolutely brilliant Paula Herlock here today to teach us, because as usual, we know that this is a class. So she's here to teach us about the natural methods, help us navigate the natural methods that we need to know when it comes to depression, anxiety, and other mental health related issues. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about what are the natural remedies. We're going to talk about the spiritual connections. It's just going to be power packed this evening. I encourage everybody to go get their notebook, get their pen, get their drink, get their snack. I have a green smoothie right here with me. Okay.
Very nice.
Yes, I got a green smoothie to impress everybody. Okay, this is not what I
Well,
normally eat, but I
mine mine is in my tank already.
oh, it's already
I
in the
did
tank. It already went
I
there.
I did cucumber with pineapple and a little ginger. That's what I had.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's kind of
I think
it's
this
very
will.
hot, so that's really refreshing.
Yes, and it's hot over here too. I'm in Texas, and
Yes.
this is
Oh.
kale with mango. I'm trying to
Mm,
think what the other fruit is, and water. That's it.
very nice.
At the
Very nice.
working stand. Yes.
Excellent.
So Miss Paula, before we get into the meat of today's class, Can you give us a little bit about your background and what led you to, looking at natural remedies? Just take us down that path.
Right. So I grew up in Montego Bay, as someone told you, and I am from a family that is very musical. My dad is, was from the Orange District in St. James, which is a rural district. So all his brothers are musicians, and so he had 11 brothers and sisters. Now, my grandmother on that side, so my paternal grandmother, in 11 children in rural Jamaica, it means that you have to know a thing or two to be able to take care of 11 children. And what was indicative of most rural Jamaican communities is that there were no health centers, there were no doctors, there were no, pharmacies. And so everyone had to rely on herbal remedies for everything. And of course, Jamaica is home to over 85% of the world's healing herbs. So that's
I
my
didn't
background
know
on my,
that.
yes, it is. It's, we're in the tropics and we have a high biodiversity. So my mother's side now, my mother is, her family was born in the city of Montego Bay. So I am a true Montegonian, and I grew up in a middle class home. We had doctors, we had health centers, and so on. Now, at university, I did geology, and after I left school, I
Ah,
worked in the environment, and so I worked a lot in forest conservation in the Dolphin Head Mountains in Hanover, where there's high levels of biodiversity. So I had a good background in forest conservation and plant biodiversity and so on. Now, I think I did what most young people do. They get so, involved in their career that they're like, go, 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 go. At one stage, I don't think I was sleeping. I don't think I was eating. And I was just burning the candle both ends. So naturally, I would burn out. So I think I burnt out in about 2009, 2010. And I had no idea that I burnt out. I just know that I was so exhausted. I started having memory lapses. Like I remember I had a conference in Trinidad and Tobago, and I was supposed to travel on Monday. The person from Trinidad called me on Thursday and she says, "Oh, I'm just confirming your attendance next week." And I literally told her off. I was like, "How unprofessional of you. How can you be calling me Thursday for a conference on Monday?" And she says, "But Miss Herlock, you confirmed. Here's your email." I looked at the email. I had never seen anything like that before. So I was literally, my central nervous system was completely shot. I was having
oh my goodness.
memory lapses, so which was a huge departure from what my memory capabilities was. I was running like three projects concurrently, and I could, if you woke me up in the middle of the night and asked me for the check number for the hardware check, I would be able to give you the check number. So I went from
Oh,
that to forgetting that I had a flight and that I ever even responded. So that, I immediately knew that I just had to step back. And in stepping back, my family thought I was totally nuts. You can't take a sabbatical from life. And I'm like, yes, I can. And I did. But during that time, at least I had the presence of mind to know that something was very wrong in my body and in my mind. And I started doing a lot of research and I started learning about diet, nutrition, and, even magnetism, because it was one of the articles that I read that really stuck out to me was that when you're sick, it's because your North Pole and your South Pole have flipped. And I was like, hmm.
oh,
So I was like, okay, how do you get your poles to flip back? And it said green juice. Well, I just started on green juice right away. And I would say in a matter of about 4 weeks of just drinking green juice, I wasn't working. I was just going outside, putting my big blankets in the grass and lying down and looking up in the sky. And in a matter of 4 weeks, I think I came back to myself.
Four
And that,
weeks. For
yeah, just I was just drinking green juice 4 weeks, nothing else. I didn't eat anything else. I relaxed. I drank a lot of water, had a lot of fruits, and just green juice. And I came back to myself. And that's when I started to understand or to do copious research on the mind, consciousness, vibration, frequency, magnetism, and electricity as it relates to the human body. So it is illness that got me started on this journey. But it's very interesting though, because my area of study at university was geology, which is
yes,
something I just loved from I was a child. I just loved rocks. I loved the idea of treasures and crystals and gems. And when I read about the poles flipping, it made a lot of sense because in geology you learn about the Earth's magnetism, the fact that we have a North Pole and a South Pole, which is related to the magnetic, the way the magnetism is for the planet. And so, in becoming ill, I started to make the connection between the micro, which is the human body, and the macro, which is the earth. And so many things started to make sense in terms of all of that. I realized that um, what I instinctively did, which was to go outside every day, throw a big blanket on the lawn, and lie down in the lawn outside under the trees, was in fact grounding or connecting me with the earth. Like my entire body was now connected with the earth because I was lying on the ground every day. I put on my bathing suit and just lay out in the grass. Ate fruits, ate, ate, had my green juice, listened to the birds singing, um, and did a lot of research. It's so interesting also that I had some friends in Montego Bay. All of us seem to have hit the same kind of crisis at about the same time. My two friends from corporate, they walked away from their corporate job. I walked away from my corporate position. Another friend
wow,
walked away from her marriage. And so we ended up at
wow,
my house, hanging out every day on the lawns. We'd go and take a dip in the swimming pool occasionally, and then it was back in the lawns. We did yoga, we did meditation, we synchronized with the cycles of the moon. And so we were looking, watching the moon cycles, doing full moon ceremonies, and just healing ourselves, just in a very natural way, in a very nurturing way, talking a lot, researching a lot. We did so much research. We did a lifetime worth of research over that year and a half that we spent together doing nothing. I do not know how we ate food because none of us were working. It was very funny because when one of us would come into a little money, we'd go, yes, we have gas money. And, yes, we have fruit money. Or yes, we have road trip money. And we would drive down to Negril and spend the day on the beach. And so what we were doing without even knowing was that we were soothing our central nervous system. We were calming down our bodies. We were connecting with the earth. We were immersing in nature. And we spent a lot of time moving our bodies and deep breathing and meditating. So essentially, what we did in that year and a half was that we healed ourselves from potential um, depression and anxiety because we were doing those things. I
yeah,
suspect I was probably suffering from depression. Everybody told me, Paul, you need to go and see a psychiatrist. I was like, listen, if I go to a psychiatrist, I'm going to just run circles around the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist is going to say I'm okay. And
yes,
they were like, well, we're willing to pay. And I'm like, don't waste your money. I got this. And pretty much I used a lot of frequencies. I found something on YouTube called the solfeggio frequencies.
Yes,
And I
yes,
did
so
a
fast.
lot of work on the left brain, right brain connection and synchronization. And I learned about the tone, the Schumann resonance, the earth frequency, and how we also as humans have a frequency. Our brain has a particular frequency. Our heart has a particular frequency. And when we have brain and heart coherent, we are almost synchronized with the earth's frequency. And that is the beginning of healing and of manifestation. And so that's what I learned through getting sick. And so when I speak from the place of having gone through the illness, and by happenstance or spirit's guidance, I stumbled upon all of the remedies that I needed in that space and time to to effectively render myself operable again, you know, coming back from a place of complete disrepair. And literally, I have to say to everyone that not only did my whole mind and mental space seem to crumble, everything in my world seemed to have been crumbling at the same time. So things at work were awful. There was one day, all the machines broke down. Um, the entire, because I used to run a bamboo factory down in Hanover. The
A
fact
bamboo
all the
factory?
equipment went. Yes, we had a project. It was an environmental project, and it was about creating alternative livelihoods for the rural poor. We have
Okay.
lots of bamboo in Jamaica. It's just growing wild. It's not utilized. We have lots
Okay.
of young people in Jamaica as well, and they're not utilized. And so I try to put the two of them together in a forest conservation project because the idea was if if the people are gainfully employed, then they won't destroy the environment to seek um, you know income generation. So that's what the bamboo project was about. I
Hmm.
remember very distinctly all the equipment broke down one day, and it was the Easter weekend. And in Jamaica, it's all about Easter bun and cheese. And I remember going and buying bun and cheese for all the staff members. And I said, guys, we're just going to close down and you go home, have a happy Easter. I drive home to Montego Bay and I get a call. All the members of the staff were in a taxi and the taxi had an accident. And
Ooh,
everybody, I had to drive back down. They had to be carried to the hospital in ambulances. It was just, I was like, okay, what else can possibly go wrong? So everything was also going wrong in every area of my life. And so that was all of those things contributed to me just having that meltdown. Yeah. So I walked away from everything and I really just took the time and rested. Total rest, total release of all the things that I was holding on to. I have to do this. I have this deadline. Guess what? If you miss the deadline, the world still turns, the sun still rises, the breath still comes in and out of your body.
yes.
You are alive. So it was that whole healing process was also about letting go everything that I had fought and worked and slaved to accomplish over a 10-year period. That was very traumatic. I literally saw 10 years worth of work, like literally go down the drain.
Just go down the drain. And
Yeah.
if I may just hop in here for a quick minute. You see, I'm listening to you, and I'm sure that our audience. They're listening, and just to let you know, people are saying hi, hello, wow, hi, hello, wow. So just to let you know, folks are saying hello. Um, we have viewers from around the world,
Mm-hmm.
watching right now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
what strikes me about what you said is not just the natural things that you and your friends were doing to heal yourself, but you were also doing spiritual things. And I think sometimes we need to remember that grounding in itself is a spiritual phenomenon. In as much as
Absolutely.
it's a physical phenomenon, it's also a spiritual phenomenon. When we talk about, juicing, doing the greens, that can also be spiritual because there's a spiritual vibration that we get, spiritual energy, I meant to say, that we get from plants.
Agree.
It's
Absolutely.
healing to us. And then the other thing too is music. When you talk about the Schumann frequency, you talk about the solfeggio tones. That when we look at metaphysics, in metaphysics, when you study music in a metaphysical way, you come to understand that because everything is energy, even ourselves, okay,
Yes.
because everything is energy, when you take one energy and layer it on another energy, one of two things has to happen. Either the
Mhm.
layered energy will be in consonance or they will be in dissonance.
Dissonance. Yes.
Right. And if they are, whether they're in consonance or dissonance, there will be a third thing created from it. So if they're in consonance, the third thing that was created was the healing that
Mm-hmm.
you and your peers experienced. And we already know from a lot of research studies that are out there the impact of music on the human
Oh
body,
yes.
the human
Oh yes.
spirit.
Yes.
In healthcare here in the United States and in Canada,
Hmm.
there's music therapy that is used in healthcare, to help the
Absolutely.
healing process. And we also know that music can aggravate, music can change
Oh
behavior.
yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes. When we talk about the rap music, the gangster
Oh yes.
music, and all that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And then we see the effects of that on people with their thinking. It affects even their spirituality. Music can
Absolutely.
increase our spiritual abilities or decrease our spiritual abilities, depending on what
That's
kind of music
right.
is being listened to. So I think that's fascinating. And here's a question I'm going to ask on behalf of our
Audience.
listeners.
Yes.
Yeah, before I get into it, someone put a comment. Frequency hertz can heal your body from bodily and mind ailments. For real, it works.
It
Okay.
works. Yes.
Yeah, let me see here. Put the room in darkness and play the different frequencies. This is what one of our audience members here, members of the family, has put
Yes.
out.
Yes.
Yes, and I see here that
100% endorsed. Hmm.
all right. And I see here we have Andrea W. She's quoting you. You are alive, Paula. I think, yes, Andrea, I think
Yes,
is
I'm
watching us from,
alive.
yes, watching us from Chicago. So let me ask this
Lovely.
question because I think some of us are curious. What
Hmm.
exactly was in that green drink? Because I know you were
All
saying
right.
you were drinking the greens, drinking the green. What exactly was inside that green drink? We want to
Okay.
know.
So let me tell you, in Jamaica, we have something called callaloo, which is very similar to spinach. It's a green leafy vegetable. It grows very quickly and it's very rich in iron, right? And it's very cheap and very available in Jamaica. So I had a juicer, big fancy juicer, and no money. So I couldn't do any grocery shopping. So there was a market, a little market just down the road from where I lived, and all I could do is go and buy callaloo, and I would buy some watermelon. I'd buy some cucumbers. I had a lime tree. I'd get a little bit of ginger as well, and so my green juice would be composed primarily of cucumber, callaloo, a little ginger, and I didn't have any water in my juice. I had a juicer, so I could make
Oh,
a whole glass of green juice. And let me tell
okay.
you
So
something about yes,
the juicer, so it was literally squeezing the nutrients and the
yes,
liquid in. Okay, okay, okay.
So it was very, very potent green juice that I was drinking. I also sometimes would add cayenne pepper because that speeds up circulation. Um,
Yeah.
and then I was drinking reasonable amount of water. At the time, though, I'll be very honest. I wasn't a big water drinker. I didn't understand the value of water in the healing process. But I imagine I was having enough liquid. At the time, I was drinking coconut water, not so much water. I drink a lot more water. Yeah.
Of course.
So
Now, but
yes, that's my green
the
juice.
choice. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. But I was interested in the callaloo because callaloo is common in the Caribbean and the West Indies.
Very.
Um, why callaloo? Why not? Or is it just because it was available, it was plentiful, or was
Yeah,
there also
it was
another reason?
so it was the main reason at the time was availability. But even now, I still use callaloo instead of pak choy. The two main leafy greens that are available in Jamaica are three in Jamaica: callaloo, spinach, pak choy. Um, yeah, those are the most. Um, I consider them nutrient dense. Now, in terms of green leafy vegetables, for everybody who lives in the tropical zone, I call the people who live in the tropical zone the sun people. We know who we are,
Yes,
right? And
yes,
there tends to be a lot of tropical foliage and tropical fruits. And so the whole process of photosynthesis involves the sun. That's solar energy. That's the most powerful, potent energy that we experience on this planet, right?
yes,
It activates our melanin, right?
yes,
And it also facilitates photosynthesis. So technically, chlorophyll is
yes,
sun food. And so when we eat or drink food that is
yes. I'm
dense in
listening.
chlorophyll, then we're basically consuming sun food. Yeah.
I want to show you proudly.
Wow, her chlorophyll. That's it. That's it. Yes, chlorophyll
All right.
is the closest
I
thing
am
to
a good girl.
hemoglobin.
I am a
You
good
are a
girl.
good girl.
I'm a good girl. I am a good girl.
Yeah, it's so important because chlorophyll is the most similar compound to hemoglobin, right? And so when we
Yes.
take in the chlorophyll into our bodies, our our digestive enzymes immediately recognize it and know how to work on it to make it available to our body. In other words, chlorophyll is very bioavailable. We take it in, it's absorbed into our digestive and bloodstream immediately. It's almost like a shot of steroids in our body because our body's like, oh God, green juice. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's what our body does when we take in green juice. The green juice is uncooked. It's rich in enzymes, natural enzymes, enzymes that heal the body, nourish the body. So it is the best thing you can give your body. And I always tell people, I remember once being very, very busy on a project and having to travel. And I remember only being able to do my 90-minute yoga class at 5 a.m. in the morning. And then I drank a green juice and I ran all day doing chores, doing sessions, doing meetings, up and down, getting myself ready for an event. So I had 7 days to prepare for the event. And all I was doing was a very rigorous yoga class in the morning, a green juice, not a smoothie, a green juice in the morning. So it's very rich and then nothing but water all day. And then in the evening, I had just a salad and a smoothie that was kind of protein based, and that was it. I wasn't fasting on purpose. I just wasn't in the mood to eat. It was kind of hot, and I was just busy. But I was actually very much stronger in my yoga class than I ever had been. And it was because my body was very efficient because it didn't have a lot of garbage to process. I wasn't eating a lot of heavy food. There was no baked goods in my diet. There was no foods cooked with heavy oils. I was just having fruits, vegetables, green juice, smoothie, and I was just running. But amazing, the body is very intelligent, and it was
Yes.
able to sustain me on that, and very
Yes.
efficiently too. Yeah.
Yes.
So the main purpose of that statement is just to show people, or to share with people how intelligent the body is. The body does not need a large plate of food. And in fact, the less food you consume, that's nonsense food. When I say nonsense, just a lot of food. If you focus on giving your body less food that's nutrient rich, mineral dense, fiber rich, and rich in, the natural chlorophyll and natural sugars, fruit sugars, then let me tell you something. Your body will be running like a well-oiled machine. And I've proven it. I've also done the exact opposite and had a lot of cake and cookies and so on. So when I speak with the voice of experience. I've done both and I've seen how my body functions on both, okay? I see
Yes.
my face, the
It,
puffiness,
it
the
shows.
discoloration in my face when I'm eating, lots of baked stuff and having a lot of sweetened drinks and things that are processed food is what I call it. When I'm drinking, green juices and having fruits and exercising properly and meditating, my skin is amazing. I don't need any makeup. I don't have to use foundation. I don't have to use anything. Yeah. So we also should learn to read our face, our skin, whether it glows, whether it's ashy, whether it's dull, where the discolorations are. If you see discoloration along here or along
A
here,
lot, yeah, a
that's
lot
your
of
liver.
that here.
That's your liver
Ah,
being toxic. And unknown to me, at the
really?
time when I was sick, yeah, at the time when I was sick, I didn't know that my liver was very toxic as well. I had to find out maybe 3 years later when I met up with a naturopath. So I was okay, but still not okay. My iron count was almost, my iron count dropped to 3. Okay. And people go, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm sure." My iron count dropped to 3. I had fibroids. I was bleeding to death. And I just ran into a naturopath by chance. This is after I healed the mental part. My body still
Yeah.
wasn't back because I was still not at ease. I was still, I was still experiencing dis-ease because even though I got through the mental hurdles, I was still carrying a lot of pain and anger and sadness and grief in my body, fear in my body, fear of foolishness, really, fear of what people will think, fear of, how, people will perceive me as a failure, fear of what my family thought of me, fear of what the people in the public domain thought of me, all sorts of nonsense. So I still had a whole layer of healing to do, but I didn't
Yeah.
know that. I thought I was okay. But the physical um, dis-ease started to show up, and I was just bleeding and bleeding and bleeding. It was
Wow.
ridiculous. And I
Wow.
ran into this naturopath. He took one look at me and he said, "Your liver is so toxic." He used some of the traditional Chinese meridian points in my body, and he worked on me. He opened up those meridians, and immediately, within a couple of days, I could see the I didn't have discoloration. I just had nasty acne right along the liver line. And that
Okay.
was my alert because I'd never had acne before. I'm talking about nasty little bumps that were filled with icky stuff and a lot of scarring. And in a couple of days, that totally disappeared. He gave me some liver detox herbs and put me on a liver detox. It was amazing. My temperament also changed. I was angry. Listen, I was like a fuse, and every situation was like gasoline. You
Oh
would
my.
just say something and I would explode, and I had no control over it. I later found out that the liver has a lot to do with the emotion of anger. And anger held in the body is going to make the liver extra toxic. And so, in
Mm.
just simply detoxing the liver, your whole temperament will change. You will become calm and just peaceful and easier to get along with. If you ever meet upon a person and their voice is really, really loud, just naturally loud, you know that their liver is off balance. Or if people
Mm.
are easily snapped, easily triggered,
Easily
their
triggered.
liver is out of balance. Yeah. So I learned all of those things just from being ill. I learned a lot of traditional Chinese medicine from that naturopath. He told me about the meridians, and the vagus nerve and how important that is. And
Let me
I
ask you
said,
this.
yes. Mm-hmm,
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in here.
mm-hmm,
When we talk about people who are loud and talk loudly, um, how about people who come from cultures where
mm-hmm,
talking loudly is common? Like if you look at some African cultures, for instance,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
um, I have African blood, okay,
Yes,
and
yes.
sometimes when I get passionate, okay, I will be like, ah, but I'm not angry. I'm just
No.
like so passionate. I'm so excited about what I'm saying. And I do
Yes,
know that, of course, working corporate, you know the deal. People say, why are you so angry all the time? I'm not angry. I'm just passionate.
right.
We also see that with a lot of Hispanic folk. We see
Mm-hmm,
that with Caribbean folk as well,
mm-hmm,
because
mm-hmm,
we live in communities, or we're from cultures where people
mm-hmm,
talk loudly, people talk
mm-hmm,
passionately, people put
mm-hmm,
their energy into
mm-hmm,
their communication. So my
mm-hmm,
question is, how can we differentiate between a cultural phenomenon like that and
mm-hmm.
somebody who, just like you're saying, is holding a lot in their liver and
Yes.
acting out based on what they're holding on their liver?
Okay. So that's an excellent question, and it's something that I also asked the naturopath because he's the one who brought it to my attention. And what he explained to me, I'm going to explain to you. And then
Yeah.
my spin is a little bit different, but I'll just share what he explained to me. He explained to me that the voice cords are connected to certain certain other meridians and organs. And so you can listen to the tone of someone's voice and hear which organ is out. Because, like you were talking about layers of tones, our voice, which sounds just like one tone, is a, a, a blend of several tones. And so you can use tone frequency to balance imbalances in your mental and in your organ body, right? So when he explained to me that when the liver is out, the voice has a different pitch and tone, right?
Mm.
And it's different than the passionate excitedness, because I'm Jamaican and you know we get loud and we're
Of
passionate
course.
too, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
there is a timbre of someone who has a naturally loud voice. I see it mostly in males, where usually they're quite tall and have a commanding presence, and their voice is very loud. They're
Okay.
usually very commanding presence, and it's a personality type. And so he explained to me that those types, not they're not just commanding in their presence, they're commanding in their voice. And that loud commanding voice is not just um, their their voice, but a function of their liver tone. Now, imagine this.
No, hold on.
Sometimes
Did you say it is a function or it's not a
of
function? I just
it
want I
is
wanted to
some
make sure.
some of it
Oh, it
is some of
is.
it most
It
of
is.
it is a
Okay.
function of their
It
liver
is.
tone.
Okay. I just wanted
Right,
to make sure that, yeah.
right. So
Okay.
imagine a father having a booming voice and a commanding personality, and you grow
Yeah.
up in that household with him. You, by genetic and by learned behavior, you're going to have a similar booming voice and tone. You would also be eating the same food as a family. And so the types of food and how it's blended and how it's consumed will also impact how the different organs will respond and process and and function. So
Yeah.
the likelihood of a father having uh, a liver imbalance and his son and his children having the same liver imbalance would be not just DNA but diet. So it's nature and
Of
nurture.
course. So
You
the
understand?
probability is high because of what they're all eating together as a family.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And that I've seen that play out in a scenario with a family with kidney issues. I have a friend, and she's probably going to watch this video later on, or she's probably watching now. And
Yeah.
she lived in the UK. Her mom, her dad, her sister all had kidney issues. She
Hmm.
moved to Jamaica when she was about 30 because
Okay.
she saw what was going on in England and she decided, I don't want this for my life. I want a different life. She came to Jamaica. She was overweight at the time. And she came down and linked up with another naturopath and changed her diet completely. She took out meat, she took out this, she took out that. And she basically went down from like a size 16 to a size 8 and has remained at a size 8 until now. Um, when within about 8 years of her leaving the UK, her mom, her dad, her sister were on dialysis there. Had she stayed there, eating their same food and having the same emotional traumas and interactions that they were having, she would have developed that same thing. She came to Jamaica and she is in the peak of health now. She is about 4 years older than me. She looks younger than me. She's fitter. She's more flexible than me. So it's choices that you can make at any given time that will be able to change your body's efficiency and your body's ability to heal and to stay
Yes.
healthy.
Now,
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
want to speak to that in a bit. One of the trends that we're seeing in sub-Saharan Africa, and
Hmm.
you bring me up to date on the Caribbean because it's been a while. But in sub-Saharan Africa, one of the things we're seeing when it comes to health trends is
Hmm.
increased incidence of kidney diseases,
Hmm.
kidney failure,
Hmm.
necrosis of the kidney tissue, nephrititis. A whole bunch of that is happening in sub-Saharan Africa. Um, and also, there has been a commensurate or matching change in diet because
Hmm.
a lot of the young people there, even the older people now,
Hmm.
older
Hmm.
people my age, I'm not talking about those who are in their 70s or 80s or 90s, I'm
Hmm.
talking about those from 60 downwards.
Yes.
They look at the American diet as an
Aha.
aspirational diet. They look
Aha.
at the Western diet as an
That's it.
aspirational diet. So
That's
if
it.
you're wealthy, if you're doing well, that's the kind of diet you need to be eating. And
Aha.
what is happening is that then you're having all these higher incidences of diabetes, higher incidence of kidney issues, liver issues, cirrhosis of the liver, other kinds of inflammation going on also in the pancreas. And when I visited, the last time I visited, I went to Nigeria, and
Mm-hmm.
people will say to me, "Oh, I wish I could eat the diet, eat the food that you eat in America." And I'm saying to them, "Oh, no, 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 no. I
It's the
here
worst
eat
thing.
what you're eating so that I can be different from the way that I'm looking now." And we would get into these really interesting conversations because they will be like, "Oh, we see it on TV or we see it on the internet. You know, you eat KFC, you have all these juicy fried chicken, and you have the fries, and you have the this and that." And when I look at my relatives from my African side, especially the younger ones, my nephews and my nieces, when I
Mm-hmm.
look at what they're posting on social media, it again is all this American style diet, which again they
That's it.
consider aspirational. And so they're
Right.
posted, this is what we're eating, this is where we're hanging out. And then now we have American companies and a lot of other Western companies have actually spread their influence into
That's
sub-Saharan
it.
Africa. So you start
Mm-hmm.
seeing, I know, I when I was there, I saw Cold Stream Creamery, which is the ice cream folks. I'm
Yes.
trying to, I know there was a pizza. I don't want to say it's Domino's. I can't remember if it's Domino's or some other pizza, but it's a popular pizza line brand over here,
Mm-hmm.
was
Mm-hmm.
over there.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, if they're even, you have little kids, and like, no, we're going to have a birthday party, and no, we're going to have cake and pizza.
Pizza.
You know, yeah, and it's this huge aspirational thing going on. But people are not linking it to saying, okay, let's look at the health trend here. Why is
Right.
it that we're eating all these so-called aspirational foods, but then we're having all these kidney diseases and liver diseases and pancreas diseases and then cancers? Okay.
Right.
And also um, fibroids.
Aha.
Fibroid is running rampant among the women. And but the sad part is that when the people, a lot of the folks in these regions
Mm-hmm.
have this kidney failure, liver failure, pancreatic failure, um, all these internal organ failures, and start developing the fibroids and cancers. Miss Paula, they turn to their Pentecostal churches, or they turn to their Pentecostal, and I call it Pentecostal mosque, okay? Because I
Yes.
know there are
Yes.
Muslims here who understand what I mean by Pentecostal mosque. In other words,
Yes.
the non-Orthodox mosque, okay?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And they go there, and the pastors are giving them holy water, anointed olive oil, giving them handkerchiefs. So, I mean, if I were to play some videos of some of what's
Oh,
going on in sub-Saharan
I've seen.
Africa,
I've seen some of them. Very
it will
lucrative.
curl. Yes, it will curl your toes. Some of the pastors will stomp on the people, stand on them,
Yes.
kick them, or we're kicking
Yes.
out the demon
The
of
evil spirits. Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
evil
Yeah.
spirit of this and that and whatnot. And hold on, look at this comment here by Mudiwa TM. Yes, fibroids and fertility issues are so common now in Africa. So what
Right.
do you have? And you see, in places like Africa, like I said, sub-Saharan Africa,
Yeah.
the issue of these diseases you're describing that can be handled by dietary changes,
Purely by diet.
are now being linked to spirituality. And so instead of people looking at the real health trends that is going on with this, they're linking it to spirituality. Oh, it's a
Yeah.
demon, it's witchcraft, somebody is poisoning me. So, there's this thing going on. How would you address this? How would
All
you
right.
address
So
what I've just said? Because for
yeah.
me, when I went there and I'm seeing all this, at some point I got overwhelmed. People were
Yeah.
laughing at me when I said, "No, I don't want to eat this. I don't." They're like, "Oh yeah, you've had enough of it. When you go
Yeah.
back to America, you're going to continue." No, I'm trying to get
Yeah.
away from it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually layers of issues that you've just described a while ago. So there's multiple layers. So there's layers related to the trauma that the Saharan African people have experienced through colonization. There's a lot of trauma related to that. That's held in our DNA. and that's been passed through our DNA. So the kidneys happen to be, they call it the seat of the ancestors, and it's also where we hold our fare. And so
Wait a
after
minute.
a while,
Hold up. Repeat that. You said the kidneys have been called what? The
the
seat
seat
of the
of the
ancestors?
ancestors, yeah. I don't know.
Why?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure why, but it seems to be where
Wow.
we hold a lot of ancestral um trauma related to fair. And so we just
Mm,
have it there, for years, 500, 600 years since the colonizers came and started doing what they were doing. So we hold that in our bodies. More so in the territories where people were taken from Africa too. Okay? So there's that going on, the trauma that we are holding in our bodies. They say that diabetes, I'm repeating what people say, and I repeat the things that people say that resonate with me. They say diabetes from an emotional perspective is when the sweetness of life is disappearing. A lot of us, through some of the trauma that we've
you
experienced
are dropping
in,
some major wisdom here, man.
you think?
You know what? I could just sit here and listen to you all day. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna shut up.
Really?
I'm just gonna mute my phone. I mean my microphone and just sit and just allow myself to be soaked in wisdom. Please carry on. I just needed to
Yes,
interrupt you for a minute. I'm
yes,
just
no problem. No problem.
okay.
I think it's
Okay.
just connecting all the dots, connecting all the dots. A
If
lot
you
of us,
are resonating, hold on. If you are resonating with what Paula Herlock is saying, can I see an I in the comment section? Can I see I if you are receiving, if you're understanding, overstanding, understanding what this queen is dropping, the gems that this queen is dropping? Can we have some eyes in the comment section? Give us some eyes. AYE. I am getting it. Please continue,
nice,
Ms. Paulo. Okay,
nice.
there we go. Okay.
Good. You're just making sure that they're awake, right?
There's no, they have better be awake. They have better be
Nice.
awake.
Very nice, very nice.
If you're
Yeah.
feeling this knowledge, please give us some eyes. Okay, look at that. Look at that.
Yes, nice. I'm
See,
seeing all the eyes.
of course,
You guys are awake. I'm very happy.
please. If you are
Nice.
getting this, if your thirsty soul is sucking this in, give us some eyes. Look at that. Look at that. Okay,
Yeah,
please
very
carry
happy. Very happy that everybody's paying attention. So a lot of a lot of the diabetes that we're having. I'm going to talk about the processed food and the American diet after this, but I want to address some of the ancestral trauma that we carry in our DNA and that we carry in our maternal and paternal line. There's a lot of incest and childhood abuse taking place all over the world in every race. But in the Caribbean islands and in some parts of Africa, it's part of the thing. It's part of what happens, and we carry that trauma from childhood into adulthood, and somehow emotionally we're incapacitated for many years, and it leads to problems in our marriages and so on, and the sweetness of life really disappears, and so we're walking around with a lot of pain and sadness and
even our
diabetes.
humanness, if I can throw that in there. It, it
Pardon?
interferes with it interferes with our humanness, being
Yes,
human. It is
yes,
even interfering that we can't even connect with each other with compassion. We're seeing
right,
things
because
going on, and it's so hard to feel compassionate about other
yes,
people's situations. Yes.
right, right. So what they found, and this was a study done in North America. I saw a presenter on TEDx talking about it. She was saying that there was a link between childhood molestation and adulthood diabetes and hypertension, especially in African American women. And
Mhm.
I feel as if that happens here in the Caribbean as well. And, we don't talk about these things. These things are taboo, but we have to live with it. And it just is held in our bodies. And they say that emotions stored in the body becomes disease. Yeah. So a
Yes.
lot of the diabetes has a lot to do with the trauma that we as a people have endured. The hypertension has to do with the high salt diets that we've inherited from the colonizers because they had to feed us with salted fish and salted beef and salted pork and salted pig's tail, you know, on the plantations, and we developed a palate for heavily salted foods, and that salt, our bodies were not accustomed to that, and so we have problems regulating that salt. So we're prone to hypertension, we're prone to diabetes, we're prone to kidney issues, where there's not enough regulation and balancing of those organs to make us healthy and strong and vibrant. Yeah.
Same
So
thing. If I
the
could just
two
jump in
layers.
right quickly,
Yes, yes,
if
you
you don't
can.
mind. It's same thing in sub-Saharan Africa. Back
Mm-hmm,
in the day, people used their own seasonings. There were traditional seasonings
mm-hmm,
that were used in meals,
mm-hmm.
but that
Yes.
got overtaken by
By
the
Maggie.
Maggi. Okay, thank you. You just took the words from my mouth. The Maggi and the other products like Maggi, like they have the
Hmm.
Maggi. There's the Nor. There's a whole bunch of them now, and
With
people
preservatives
with and salt, different kinds of
and
salt. So not just
and
one kind of salt, different kinds
and
of salt.
flavor enhancers. Yes.
MSG. And so
Oh
what
yes.
has happened is that now we have at least two generations that have grown up
On those
eating
salts.
Maggi flavored food, that they find it hard to eat food that does not
Without.
have flavor enhancers.
That's
But
it.
then, and what happens to and I've experimented with myself when I
Yes.
cook and eat
With
food
natural
with,
seasoning.
no, with the flavor enhancers,
Oh
my
yeah.
eating is out of control. And
Ah.
my family's eating is out of control. We're all out of control. Whenever I use
Wow.
the Maggie and things like that in the food, our it's like we're in a perpetual state of hunger.
Hunger.
You're eating this and
Interesting.
eating this and snacking on this, and the eat because it's a flavor enhancer. So you eat the
Yes.
food and you end up eating more portions than
More.
you really so, because remember what you said earlier, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of food we're eating that our portions are too big. Remember you said that at the beginning of this
Yeah.
class,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
reducing the flavor enhancers make it hard for us to control
Eat.
those
Exactly.
portions.
That's it.
So I discovered that when I backed away from those things, our appetites took a nosedive. And to add
Mm.
and support what you were saying earlier, when
Mhm.
I personally, let me speak for myself, I'm not going to speak for everybody else here, but when I go on a vegan diet,
Uh-huh.
my food consumption drops drastically. My appetite drops drastically. My craving for salt drops drastically.
Yes.
So
Yes. It's the same thing with
I'm
me.
just supporting what you're saying. I'm just supporting
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
truth.
It is the truth. And the other thing, well, let me tell you how it affects me. So I don't use any MSG at home. I mean, I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm telling everybody here. I grew up on Maggie products and I love the Maggie cubes, the garlic onion. It really makes the food taste much better. But what I did
Chicken
is just I
flavor,
stopped.
beef
Yeah.
flavor,
Oh
shrimp
goodness. Yeah.
flavor.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Yes.
what I did, I cut them out. I just use more garlic, more onion, more Scotch bonnet pepper, a little of the I use soy. It's not so. It's like it's almost like soy sauce to give the extra saltiness, but with the it's a fermented
Is it is
product.
it
So it
is it the amino acids? You know, like the brands have
yes,
amino
that's it.
acids.
Yes,
Amino
yes.
acids, yeah.
And so that gives
Like
me the
soy.
same level of flavor, and it has at
Yes.
least it's rich in amino acids. Yeah. So that's what I do. No, I go out for dinner occasionally, and I go. A couple of times I went to an Indian restaurant and I went to a Chinese restaurant. I come home and I knock out like someone gave me drugs. And I
Yes.
was like, why am I so sluggish? I can't even keep my eyes open to come through the door? Turns out because I don't eat the MSG anymore. When
Yes.
my body gets the food that has a lot of MSG, it takes a hit. It's like, whoa, what happened? You just took some poison. That's what happens to me now when I
It's
go out and
a
eat.
neurotoxin. It's a
Yes.
neurotoxin. These flavor enhancers are neurotoxins.
Now,
A poison
people
that
do
affect the nervous system.
that's it. Now, what happens is when your body is so toxic that you add, remember, if you have a pile of garbage and you add another bag of garbage to that pile of garbage, it doesn't make any difference. But if you have a beautiful spotless floor and you took a bag of garbage and threw it on the spotless floor, everybody would see and smell and experience the garbage. So if your body is clean, when you take that into your body, you're going to feel it right away. But if you've been eating garbage for the last 30 years and you drink some more garbage, your body is not even going to feel a thing. You will not notice it. So I'm speaking to everyone here that you may not notice what I'm describing now because your body has more toxins in it. And so when you add more, toxic substances, your body it doesn't, it doesn't make a difference, right? But if you clean up and detox yourself, and then you go and you have a little bit of those, I'm going to use the word poison, you're going to feel it in your body right away. You're going to feel it in your body right away, right? So the trick is to look at the modern diet. The modern diet is loaded with all these chemicals. It's loaded with a lot of preservatives because they want to stabilize the food so that it can be shipped over months or even years to reach you fresh. So a lot of the food that we're consuming is years old, not weeks old, not months old, years
What?
old.
No, no, wait a
Some,
minute. Years? Did you say years? Because
oh
what we
yes,
are thinking here, it's weeks or months. And you're saying
no,
years.
yes, I was told, and I freaked out when I heard this. We have a lot of seafood available. A lot of seafood stores have sprung up recently. It never used to be like that. In Jamaica, the fisherman would go out, he would get the fish, we'd be waiting at the shore, we buy the fish, and everybody's happy. Well, over the years, we've overfished our seas, and so fish is scarce. Eh? So what's been happening? We've been importing, fish, snapper, salmon, this, that, whatever. I only to find out that some of the fish that we're eating has been fished 5 or 6 years ago and has been in cold storage because they put preservatives on the fish and then they put it in the cold storage and it's stored and stored and stored and then it's shipped all over the world. And so we are eating a lot of food that's laden with chemical preservatives. What do you use to
I,
preserve flesh? What do
did you
you use to
say
preserve?
5 years?
Oh
Did I hear?
yes, yes.
I don't know if
I
I heard you right. Five
yeah man.
years.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I was like, what? So I was like horrified. I was told they use the same chemical that they use to preserve flesh, similar to embalming fluid. They use that to preserve the fish
What?
before they freeze it. So when we're consuming a lot of the modern foods, we tend to think that modern society is convenient and so on, but we have no idea what we're doing. The convenience of modern
And
life is
price,
poisoning us,
the
right?
price we have to pay, the price that we're paying. Matter of fact, there was something circulating on Instagram, and I'm going to say I don't know if it was true or not.
Mm-hmm,
Um, it was someone. It was a Caucasian guy. I'm assuming he was a reporter. He went to interview
mm-hmm.
someone who was taking care of a wastewater plant of some big city
Oh
here.
yes, I saw that.
Did you see it?
Oh
Where
yes, yeah.
about the
What
tilapia?
they're eating,
And
yes, what they are
yeah,
fed.
yeah. So the tilapia was eating all the waste that was coming out of the city sewer,
Wastewater. Mm-hmm.
wastewater, all the wastewater, the sewage from the city. And the reporter was asking the guy, "So what do you do with the tilapia after this?" He says, "No, we sell it to members of the public." And so and I see and I remember seeing this on Instagram, and people were in the comment section saying, what city is this? Where is this in America? Where exactly are they selling the fish? And I am
Yeah.
telling you, after seeing that, I stopped eating tilapia.
Yeah, it's really scary because a lot of what is available in the supermarkets, processed packaged foods, are laden with chemical preservatives, are laden with chemicals to enhance the color, the taste, the flavor. Some of the farm grown animals tend to be also laden with a lot of medicine and steroids and
Yes.
antibiotics. And so what we're,
Contraceptives,
yes,
contraceptives. Don't forget that
oh
contraceptives.
yes, oh
The
yes.
oh,
I won't go into
on
what,
the shrimp.
I won't go into the study about what they found was happening to certain fish that were being fed a certain chemical and how all of them turned into one particular sex, whether it's male or
On the
female. And
other,
so,
yes,
right. So
yes.
I'm not going to touch that today, but that's definitely happening.
I
And,
think we need to come back and continue this conversation. We need to come
yes, it
because
is.
because because I remember working with these people. They were Chinese, and I remember
Mm-hmm.
one time we wanted to have some kind of office party, something, and I said to them, "Let's go to a Chinese restaurant," because I figured, I was the only non-Chinese working with them, and they go, "No, we don't eat there." And I say, "You don't eat at the Chinese buffet?" They say, "No, we don't eat there." So
Okay.
what ended up happening, because I insisted I wanted to eat Chinese food, they
Yes.
actually took me to a Chinese restaurant. But this is what happened when we got there. When we got to the restaurant, we were taken to the back. So we were not sitting in the front where most of the Americans were sitting. And the Chinese and the menu that we were given was written in Chinese. This menu was not the menu that was presented to others, the
The
Americans
public.
sitting
Yes.
there, the public.
Hmm. It's yeah. I won't even go
Yeah.
there. We're not going to go there. We don't want to. We
Well,
don't want to offend anybody.
no, but this happened in Houston.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I can say this. This happened, and this
Yeah.
happened
Hmm.
over. I think this happened over 12, 13 years ago. And I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
asking them, saying, "Okay, I can't read this menu," and they were like, "Don't worry, we'll read it for you. What would you like to eat?" And I said, "Fish, this, that. I want shrimps because I like shrimps." And they were
Yeah.
like, "Don't order the shrimps. The jumbo shrimps come from contraceptives fed to the shrimp."
Ah.
And that's what makes them jumbo, because it sterilizes them and then blows them up.
Right.
And so, is there any reason, just like there was someone, one of the family who posted a comment earlier saying
Hmm.
that infertility is on the rise? There was
Oh
someone in
yeah.
the section who wrote that infertility. And guess what? For people of color, we flock to all you can eat buffets. I don't care whether it's a Chinese,
Seafood.
all
Yeah.
you can get, all
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
American, all you can eat. We love our buffets. Like
Right.
one of my adopted
Yes.
fathers used to call them the pig trough, just going to belly up to the pig trough.
Yes.
That's what it
It's true.
was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now let's get ready to start taking questions from folks. But let me
Mhm.
ask you this,
Mhm.
folks, if
Mhm.
you have a question, please put it in the comment section so that Miss Paula can answer your question. Let us start taking this home. How everything you've described with the diet, what's going on, the pollution, the chemicals, how does that affect our mental health? How does that impact our depression, our anxiety? What do you say we should do about this?
Okay, so there's a whole set of things that we have to think about. We have to think about the processed foods that we eat not giving our bodies the correct nutrients and minerals that it needs to be running efficiently. So our vagus nerve, our central nervous system requires certain minerals and nutrients to nourish it, as does our digestive system, as does our, you know, respiratory, circulatory, you know, all of those systems. Yeah. Now, when we eat a lot of processed foods, immediately our body goes into imbalance. First of all, when the body gets all these cakes and baked
Yes.
products and mixed stuff, the body is like, okay, what is this? The enzymes are like, okay, I'm here to break down sugars. I'm here to break down proteins. I'm here to break down starches. What is that cheesecake coming down? What is that? What, you know, the body's like,
Right.
okay, I don't know what this is. Let me store it right here until I can figure it out. That is called fat deposits. If it's not stored as fat, sometimes it gets stored as tumors. Okay, so the body is just trying to protect you by like encapsulating that, you know, garbage receptacle right here until it can get to it. But if you're constantly feeding it, feeding it, feeding it, you're not giving it any rest. You're not detoxing it. You're not getting rid of the parasites. The parasites are piling up in your body. The parasites are producing waste. Then your body is filled with a lot of toxic stuff. When your body is toxic, listen to this now, your body is going to be drawing up what it needs to nourish itself. It takes that from the colon, and that stuff it goes straight into the bloodstream and then goes up to the brain, right? The vagus nerve comes from the brain. If you are sending garbage to nourish the brain and the vagus nerve, your cognition is going to diminish and your vagal tone is going to diminish. It means your vagus nerve is not going to be picking up the signals that it needs to pick up from the different organ systems to be able to send back the message to the brain so that the endocrine system and the different secretions will take place on a timely basis. So your
Wait, hold
digestion
on.
is going to be off.
Can you hold on? Sorry, I need to interrupt here because I want
Yes,
to make sure that everybody's following. Not
yes.
everybody knows what the vagus nerve
Let
is,
me
where it
explain what the
came,
vagus nerve is. Let me
because
explain
I
that.
believe it connects the solar plexus with the brain.
Yes, right. So let
Okay,
me explain
so
what the vagus nerve is.
yeah, go ahead and explain it so people can follow why it is
Okay,
important, why what you're
so the
saying is
brain, yes,
right.
so the brain has the left brain, the left hemisphere, and the right hemisphere. The brain stem is down here. There is a large nerve that leaves the brain, goes down your spine, down your neck, and it ends in every single organ system in the body. Some terminates in the heart, some terminates in the pancreas, in the stomach, in the kidney, in the, right, all the organs. So if you looked at a map of the vagus nerve and where it ends up, you will see that it's actually a nerve that ends up at every organ and it runs along the spine. So it's very sensitive and it's a very, very important nerve. It's a big trunk, right? Now,
Yeah.
it's taking information from the brain and it's also collecting information from the different organs to send to the brain. So the brain will now know what to information to give to the organ. Okay, there's a big lion chasing you. You need to produce some fight and flight thing so you can run. You need to produce this. You need to produce that. Oh, you're stressed every day at work. Okay, we need to produce some cortisol. Okay, we need to produce this so you can sleep. We need to produce that. If you are not feeding your body and nourishing your body properly. The brain is not going to be properly nourished. The vagus nerve will not be properly nourished. It's going to be sending all sorts of nonsense signals all over the place. You have insomnia. You have stress reactions. You cannot digest your food. You're going to have excess acid being produced. So everything goes out of balance. So a simple thing like your diet is going to uh, impact your brain function and your vagal tone. Okay? Now, if you eat well, your vagal tone will improve. So you need to be, having foods that are rich in certain minerals, your little potassium, your little magnesium, those things, soothe the nerve, the central nervous system. You can also, there's some things that you can do. I'll tell you about those shortly, things that you can do to increase vagal tone. And it's some of the things that we were taught to do in the old days. Simple things like taking a cold shower will stimulate your vagus nerve and tone it so that it functions more effectively, right? Humming, that will soothe your vagus nerve. Singing, that will soothe your vagus nerve. Splashing cold water on your face, that will soothe your vagus nerve. Meditation soothes your vagus nerve. Praying, the act of just putting your palms together like this, soothes your vagus nerve. So that's why when people go to church, they sing, they hum, they meditate, they pray, and they put their hands together like this. When they leave church, they feel so much better. It's because they've really worked on their vagus nerve. Okay? So those are the things that you can do to strengthen your vagus nerve or your central nervous system. When your central nervous system is strengthened, it's as important as your lymphatic or your immune system, right? So when it is strengthened, your organ systems are stronger and more efficient, right? So that's how your diet ties in with your vagus nerve and your brain function. So let us now imagine what happens when you don't eat well. You eat a lot of acidic foods, sugary foods, you don't drink enough water, you drink a lot of alcohol, a lot of caffeine, a lot of, salty stuff, then the, the colon is now attempting to pull the nutrients to send it into your bloodstream and to your brain, and it's all chemically off. Your brain is going to get stuff that is off balance. It's going to be confused. It's going to send the wrong messages to your different organs, or it's not going to collect the right data from your organs and your nerves. Literally, the terminology we say is your nerves are fried. Yeah?
Yes.
When your nerves are fried, your whole autonomic nervous system, everything goes off. That's when you start to have issues with your heart rate being too high and your breathing being shallow, and you're basically in fight and flight all day. So when we say it's a multi-layered issue that leads to mental health issues, we're talking about the levels of stress, and we're also talking about the diet being less than optimal. So what you
And messing
have
with
now,
the blood chemistry for the
oh
brain.
boy, oh
The
boy,
blood, that blood chemistry of the quality of the blood and the nutrients being get fed to the brain is so
yeah,
compromised that
right,
the blood is supposed to be feeding on good glucose, but it's feeding on
yeah,
God knows what.
right. So that is why people, that is why there's so much violence and fighting. The liver is toxic, the cognition is off, the nerves are fried because they're not getting any nutrients. If you're living on a diet of fast food every day, you're getting no sun powered food, no chlorophyll in your life, right? Everything is, you know, these high saturated fats and sugars and artificial flavors and colors, you cannot function. This is not how our system was not produced to run on this fuel.
We
So what's
weren't
gonna
designed
happen?
for it.
The car going break down. Just like a car. If you have a high performance vehicle and you give it kerosene oil, it's going to go down. We are a high
That engine,
performance vehicle.
yeah, that
Yeah,
engine go knock. It go knock.
exactly.
Okay.
Well, that's exactly what happens to the human body when you give it garbage,
It will knock.
right?
Now let me add this from a spiritual perspective. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of people notice that when they fast, okay, and they go
Mhm.
in fasting, they
Yes.
notice that their health improves.
Yes.
And the concept of fasting, which was originally of spiritual and religious origins,
Yes.
you and I know now that that has crept into mainstream health
Yes.
now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we see now that intermittent fasting, dry fasting, water fasting, juice fasting, all kinds of fasting has become mainstream in the health community. And we
Mhm.
can see that from fasting, you can reverse a whole bunch of health issues just from
Mhm.
fasting, different kinds of
Mhm.
fasting. Okay.
Mhm.
But when we also look at this from a spiritual perspective, we find out that because the body during fasting is ridding itself of the toxins that we, not somebody else, but we put into our system,
Yes.
we actually change our spiritual vibrations, our
Oh yes.
aura changes. And and I've noticed this, and other people have noticed it. When we go into a fasted state, we
Yes.
find that we become more energized,
Oh yes.
uh, become more attractive to others.
Oh yes. Yes.
To use your phrase, we become more agreeable to others.
Oh
Our
yes.
emotions become more tempered. We're not
Oh yes.
swinging from one extreme to the other extreme.
Mhm.
When we're fasting, or if we are running a fasting protocol, we
Mhm.
also find out that our brain function is optimized. So the way
Yes.
that our brain, our cognitive and non-cognitive functions, the way that they run become more optimized. It's just like optimizing your computer to run
Oh
better,
yes.
to process
Yes.
better,
You
and to
clean
do
it.
more.
You get
It's
rid of all the
clean.
junk files and all the
Yes,
viruses, and you're good.
exactly.
Same
And
thing.
you see that the computer changes because the brain is the computer of the body. Okay.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
fasting can actually help normalize the blood that feeds the brain.
The
And then
brain.
that in
Mhm.
turn improves our spiritual work, our spiritual endeavors,
Oh
our
yes.
spiritual energy,
Oh yes.
things of that nature. People have said that when they're fasting, they find out that they manifest things easier, they manifest things faster. And that is why, from a spiritual perspective, even from a religious perspective, think about it. When you are
Oh yeah.
faced with a difficult problem, what do? You fast and you
Yes.
pray.
Yes.
You fast and you pray. And the reason for the fasting and the praying, or the fasting and the invoking, because we do invocations in spirituality, the
Yes.
purpose again for that fast is to raise your spiritual vibrations, to make it easier for you to get the thing that you're trying to get, to solve the
Yes.
problem that you're trying to solve.
Yes.
Fasting and watching your diet, I've also noticed and experienced from a
Mhm.
personal perspective, and also anecdotally, it also
Mhm.
changes relationships. There are people that start fasting protocols, fasting regimens, and then they suddenly discover, you know what, I can't live with this person anymore, I can't tolerate this person anymore, I can't work at this place anymore, I can't
Yeah.
stand this place anymore, I
Yeah.
don't
You
want to
get
live here
clarity.
anymore. You get clarity,
Clarity. Mhm.
and you become more spiritually sensitive. It
I
makes you
agree. I agree.
more
You tap
spiritually
in. Let me
sensitive.
tell you. I think you
Yes.
are able to tap in because, when we're eating a lot of food all the time, all the blood is always concentrated in our stomach digesting. Yeah. And so our brain, remember I was talking about that brain, heart brain uh, synchronization, or I don't remember the word that I used.
Connection.
Yes, it's kind of like they synchronize. And when you are, when the heart and the brain are, synchronized, then we're also synchronized with the earth, and our ability to now connect to the divine is enhanced. We always use the crown of the head to talk about the entry point for light, for the divine energy to come in. And the entry point just happens to be like where the brain is. So when the brain is getting proper nourishment, it's almost as if it's able to open up to a higher consciousness that it wouldn't be able to open up to when when it's getting garbage food and garbage chemicals and all of that, you know?
We have
So
a
I
question.
definitely agree with you on the body and its ability to tap into the spiritual realms more quickly and more readily and more deeply when it is in the fasting state. There is no
Or
doubt
even,
about it.
or even eating a clean diet. If your diet
Yes,
is clean,
yes.
it's easier to be more spiritual. Now let's handle
Mm-hmm.
this person's question. We have a question, and again,
Mm-hmm.
folks, please write down your questions so that we just have a few more minutes before we start wrapping it up. We have a
Right.
question here from Bodiwa TM. How does one improve iron, magnesium, and potassium levels naturally without manufactured supplements?
Okay, so that's an excellent question and one that I I'm all about. You know, I don't like the idea of as you're getting older, you have 16 bottles on the top of your refrigerator of
You
supplements.
know
And
that's
I
right.
go to
You know
houses
that's
and
right.
I see, yeah, well, there are natural sources of potassium like banana. There are natural sources of iron like callaloo and spinach and kale. Anything that's dark green is very, very rich in iron, chlorophyll, right? Also, people of color need to be consuming larger quantities of iron, zinc, selenium. And if
Why?
you just go on
Why?
Google and
Why?
type in foods rich in copper, you will get all the nuts and the herbs and the vegetables rich in copper. Type in your Google foods rich in iron and you'll get a whole list of those. Type
But why?
in Google
Why? Why for people
why?
of color? Because you're saying people
Why?
of color, and
Because
yes,
because our blood, okay, so I don't really understand the full chemistry of melanin, and there's a lot of unknowns where that is concerned. But it seems like persons with more melanin have more have iron rich blood and blood chemistry that has or requires more of those minerals that I just mentioned, right? For our
okay.
bodies to operate optimally. No, it's no secret that the pharmaceutical industry and the processed food industry formulates certain food items based on the chemistry and biology of white Caucasian male. So, for example, even baby milk formula is formulated of a white female, and the milk formula of different races are different. So
Yes.
naturally, the types of foods that the different races need to be eating has to be different. So there is a lot of research out there about that. So I'd encourage everyone here to do the reading on that. But definitely, if you just Google foods rich in iron, foods rich in selenium, foods rich in copper, you'll get all the information you need. You can also Google herbs rich in iron, herbs rich in copper, herb rich in selenium, and you'll get a nice chart. There's a beautiful chart that's there with all the herbs, their pictures, or all the nuts and their pictures. And of course, I tend to be on the vegan side of life, but I respect people who feel they need to consume meat. And so there are lots of things where they'll say, for example, lecithin is a very good supplement for the central nervous system. Where do you find lecithin? It's in eggs, it's in certain fish, it's in certain meats. You know what I mean? But
Yes.
you can use the Google and find the foods rich in all the things you need. So, off the top of my head, all the leafy greens, in terms of herbs, they tell me that nettle and burdock are rich in iron. Um, um, and there's a whole bunch of them. I can't go into them in this conversation, but let me tell you, Google has all the information. You can get information if you ask the right questions. Okay, so that was an excellent question. Um,
Oh,
Magnesium is an interesting one. I've not found very many foods rich in magnesium, and how I tend to get magnesium is by taking a glass of Epsom salts occasionally, right? Or I soak in Epsom salts. Okay, so that should answer the question.
okay. I was just going to share a screen here. Herbs,
Hmm.
iron, magnesium, and I just did what you said. Went to Google.
Yes,
Herbs, iron,
and it's all
magnesium
there. Hmm.
are basil, coriander, mint,
Hmm.
dill,
Hmm.
thyme, savory, sage, marjoram, tarragon, and parsley. They
Wow.
contain
So
several
if
hundred
we're,
milligrams of magnesium per serving and can boost our
mhm.
body's supply of this critical mineral. So that's
Now
what we
all of
have.
those are leafy green. All of those are leafy greens. So if we prepare our meals with natural green herbs like that, not only will our food taste delicious, but we'll be getting a lot of the minerals and nutrients that we need for our bodies to be optimal. So if you can just, when you go shopping, don't go to the packaged food section, go straight to the green section and get all of those things and learn how to prepare your meals with those lovely greens, marjoram, parsley, little basil, tomatoes, put some garlic in there, put a little olive oil, put some coconut oil, whatever, and get your flavors and your minerals and nutrients from that
in there.
from that method. Yeah.
Yeah. Then look at
And
this
you
one
can
here.
use all of those things too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
4 mineral rich herbs: alfalfa,
Hmm.
dandelion leaf,
Yes.
nettle, and
Yes.
red raspberry leaf. I mean, I just Googled
Wow.
this. I just did a go. Now, I want to ask you this before we
Hmm.
start wrapping up. I think you've treated this topic so thoroughly that folks don't even have no questions to ask. I think they have been fully trained. There are no questions whatsoever. What would you recommend for our brethren and sistren of the lighter persuasion? I
Hmm.
remember you and I had a conversation where you had shared with me that folks who are in the tropics do not need to eat as much meat as those who live in the temperate climate. So I know that we have most of our lighter skinned folks
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
temperate regions. And, so are we saying here that it's okay for those who live in the temperate regions and those who are from, or their DNA is from the temperate region, for them to eat more meat and to have a more meat based diet compared to, those originating from the tropics or those who have DNA that originates from the tropics?
Yes. And it's very interesting because persons in the temperate zone tended to have to grow things like wheat and this and that, and then harvest it, store it, process it so that they could be able to eat during the cold months, the winter months.
Yes.
They would also use their vegetables and they would pickle their vegetables, so that they could have them, over the winter months. So they have a slightly different chemical makeup, than persons with more melanin. So greens are very good for them as well, but their bodies need those things that will keep them warm during winter. So that means meat, that
Mm,
means things with fat, that
okay.
means things with starch that puts on the extra weight, the padding, so that they can be warm during the
Okay.
winter months. So it's really about eating. One person gave me a guideline that will stick with me forever. The guideline is simply this: eat like your great great grandmother.
Simple.
Eat like your great great grandmother. If you're Chinese and you eat like your great great grandmother, you're going to be fine. If you're African and you eat like your great great grandmother, you're going to be fine. If you're Caucasian and you eat like your great great grandmother, you're going to be fine. So I just use that as a guideline, because then there are no there are no I want to use the word excessiveness in anything, in extreme guidelines, like, oh, you can't eat this because it's not alkaline, you can't eat this because it's not a hybrid, you
Right.
can't eat that because,
Right.
no, there are no extremes. You just eat what your great great, I think great great great
Great, great,
grandmother
great,
or
great. Hey,
grandfather
great.
used to eat. Because
Used
guess
to eat
what? I guarantee that your great 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 grandfather did not have hypertension, diabetes, or
diabetes,
cancer.
kidney failure,
They did not.
cancer,
They did
whatever.
not. Because
And
even in,
actually,
uh-huh,
no, I was just going to add. Um, actually, I noticed that whenever I visit, you know, whenever I go visiting overseas, and I
uh-huh,
observe the diets, what's the real older folks eat, like the folks in their 80s and 90s and hundreds,
yes, yes,
especially in the tropics. I
oh
noticed that
yeah,
they eat very little meat. The
oh
meat
yeah,
is actually the meat is not the main attraction in the meal.
no,
The
it's not.
vegetables is actually the main attraction, and
And the
the meat,
yam,
yes,
yes,
and but the meat is like a topping,
yes, the
on the main.
flavoring, the little, yeah,
Yeah. So, and I
cherry on
noticed,
top.
yeah, cherry on top. And they have these really small portions of meat.
Yeah,
I would remember watching, and like I used to have this uncle. He was 93 when he passed, and
uh-huh,
and he had three wives. When his wives would serve him, they would actually serve him with these very small morsels of meat, like two
yes,
or three morsels of
yes,
meat. And
yes,
I would say
yes,
to him, "Is this all the meat?" And he's like, "Yeah, this is even plenty." But for
yes,
me, from North America, I'm like,
uh-huh,
"There's nothing here. There's nothing.
uh-huh,
This
uh-huh,
is nothing."
uh-huh,
But just having, and it was a very small morsel of meat, but lots of
yes,
vegetables
yes.
and lots of starch. Now
Ground,
let's
ground, ground produce, yes.
Yes. Now, so let's now go to, I don't think we have any more questions. Let's start wrapping it up. Please tell us how we can reach you, how we can what do you offer? What
Okay.
do you do? Because I'm sure
So,
that want to get in touch with you, they want to
yes.
touch you, they want to love on you, they want to hug you, they want to take home. They want a piece of Miss Paula to go home with them. So tell us, where can we reach you? What products, what
Right.
services do you have out there?
Okay. So I'm here in Jamaica, and I am at Wellness Experience Jamaica, and that's only to be found on Instagram. Wellness Experience Jamaica on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, Wellness Experience Jamaica. And if you go on my Instagram page, you can get my contact details. Now, Wellness Experience Jamaica is really a newly formed entity, and it really was about educating people to take back their power around their health and their wellness, not leaving it up to institutions or organizations or the government. You take power, you take control of your health. You learn about your herbs, you learn about your diet. So that's what we were committed to do. And we were also trying to explain to people that there are many other healing modalities outside of just medicine. You can go and immerse in nature. You can do your meditation, you can do your exercise, and you can get those benefits to your body immediately. Now, as a result of what we've been doing, we've sort of, come away where what we try to do is offer retreats where people can come to Jamaica and do all of the things that we're talking about. You can come, you get to relax, reset, recalibrate,
We
rejuvenate. We feed you Jamaican
Jamaica.
sun-ripened fruits and vegetables. You get to sit in our rivers, hang out under the trees, go to the sea, get the healing through those magnetic electric waters in the of the Caribbean Sea and the tropics, yeah. Because our sunlight, let me tell you guys, our sunlight is different. It has a different kind of
Yes.
energy. And I tell people all the time, and I know you know this, Dr. Toshi. You know Jamaica sits on the 77th meridian, so you know we're an energy portal
Yes.
all by ourselves.
Yes.
So when
Yes.
you come
Yes.
here,
Yes.
everything that grows here is special. Our people are special. Our healers are special. We're talented. Our foods are special. It has a certain vibration, a certain frequency. So when you come for a retreat here in Jamaica, it's going to be different than if you go to another part of the world. Yeah? You can hear
Woo!
our music. Our music has a certain vibration that is also a product of the people of the 77th meridian, if you know what I mean. Yeah, our
Yes.
music is
Yes.
fire, it
Yes.
has a certain vibration. So you come to the retreat and we give you the tools to be able to navigate all of what is happening now, because we are having a lot of things happening. We're having an awakening happening. So that's cosmological activity that is now impacting us, our bodies. And if you know about it, then you're able to say, no, this is not depression. This is really my awakening, my DNA activating, my melanin activating. Yeah. So we teach you
Yes.
how to identify those, I call them ascension symptoms, awakening symptoms, and to differentiate between that and depression or that and mental illness. We give you the tools to be able to eat better, um, listen to your body better, and manage yourself, your emotions, and blend into all of that spirituality so you understand how to tap into the divine, right? So we do all of that. We also teach a lot about the herbs. There's a herbal blend. So if you go on the Instagram page, in the link in the bio, I'm supposed to be setting up a shop. It's not quite up yet, but you'll have access to the Wellness Experience Jamaica, my herbal blend. This was the immune
Yeah.
system.
Okay. Yeah. Bring it right in front of the camera so we can see it.
Oh
A
boy,
little bit
I
to
don't
your,
even know
a
where
little
to.
bit to your
This
left.
way,
To your left.
yes.
Yeah. Right there.
It's
Right there.
called,
Right there.
this is called the Jamaica Defense Blend, and it's made up of wild harvested Jamaican herbs, alkaline herbs. I can tell you inside of it, and these are herbs that we got, collected, right in nature. So there's no fertilizer, no nothing on them. They're completely organic. And this one is the Jamaica Armor Blend, and this basically, is it both of them help to boot. These were kind of created, for the pandemic, and they contain herbs like, oh boy, I can't read, but blue vervain, lemongrass, sarsaparilla, a little mint, bitterwood, yellow dock, burdock, cat's claw, mullein, um, uh, just all the herbs that really get the liver clean, the pancreas, the digestive system, cleans the lungs, cleans the blood, all of those things. So that herbal blend is also available on the IG page. Um, and I also do one-on-one consultations. That's very recent. And it's not that I'm a therapist or I'm a trained this or that. What it is that, you know, most of the problems that people are having nowadays have to do with anxiety, depression, and releasing trauma. And I'm able to hear what someone is saying and help them to connect the dots between issues with their mother line, their father line, spirituality, their diet, and the fact that they're awakening to these new realities and that it's nothing scary. It's really acknowledging it and doing what you need to do to soothe your central nervous system, nourish your central nervous system, change your blood chemistry, your body chemistry, so that you can produce what you need to produce to be optimal and to be divinely connected. So we don't just look at it as just herbs alone. We don't look at it as just spirituality alone. We look at it as a tripartite, as it were.
Yes. Now I want to say this. I think I need to come for you to fix me. Okay. I need to come and bring myself to you, Miss Paul, and abandon myself and say, "Fix me, heal me, heal me, heal the healer." I work so hard, heal the healer. Now, the other thing I want to also mention to
Mhm.
everybody listening is that Miss Paula also has a clothing line. She just started up a new clothing line. I've seen it on Instagram. It is absolutely phenomenal. I encourage everybody who is watching, whether you're watching this live now or you're watching later, to follow her on Instagram. I've put her
Yeah.
Instagram handle on the screen. It's Wellness Experience Jamaica.
Yes.
I also noticed that, hold on. I also noticed that there are some folks up in here who are literally streaming to your YouTube site. Okay, so
Okay.
your
Excellent.
YouTube. I'm seeing. I'm just looking at it here. One is Wellness Experience Jamaica. Or
Yes.
they're watching it there, and also your other
Okay.
YouTube, which is Paula Herlock.
Okay.
So
Excellent. I'm
encourage.
happy about that.
Yeah, yeah. So three. It looks like three people are streaming. I don't know how they did it. Okay, but they're streaming it.
Okay.
You're watching it on your YouTube. So I don't know how that
Excellent.
happened. I
Excellent.
don't know. I don't know. I'm not
Excellent.
even. We're just
Yes.
gonna let the universe do what it do. So
Yes.
folks, I encourage you to follow Miss Paula Herlock. If you have learned something, please put an I in the comment section. Hold on, let me move this around. If you have learned something, if what you've learned today has been of benefit to you, can we have an I in the comment section? Okay, so we're having some eyes come in.
Very
Folks,
nice.
yes, yes. And please, okay, I'm seeing a comment here. Lady A is saying, Sister Herlock, your life experience qualifies you. No paperwork needed. Yes.
Well,
Another
thank
person,
you for that.
yeah, another person, A. Woodard, says, this is what we have been missing. Another comment here, Lady A. The one who comes in peace is always welcome. The one who comes to teach is always welcome. The one who comes to learn is especially always welcome. Positive and creation energy to all. Then Renee
Beautiful.
says, my heart wants to experience everything she's talking about. Just wow. Just wow.
Well,
So we're going to wrap up now. We've been at it for 2 hours. What did I
woo!
tell you, Miss Paula? I told you. I told you. I told you. I told you.
Well,
Told
as you can see, I was up for it, right?
you. Yeah,
I talk a
yes.
lot.
You came prepared, okay? You
Yes.
came prepared. Okay. So we're just going to round up with an invocation. I usually
Hmm.
like ending the classes with invocation. Thank you
Hmm.
everyone for coming to class. I know it's a long class. Usually I say, well, we're just gonna have a 1 hour class. Honey chat, please. I don't even know the last time we had a 1 hour class because we're here having so much fun. I have learned a lot. Before I go into the invocation and end the class, I want to say
Hmm.
thank you, thank you, thank you, namaste to you.
And
Uh,
thank you.
thank you so much for coming and teaching us from your wisdom. allowing us to drink from your well of knowledge. A lot of what you share today is what we say in the Dr. Tochi family is the forbidden fruit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's called the forbidden fruit because these are things that are not put out for us to consume, for us to regain our lives. You know how the
Mm-hmm.
biblical story goes. Don't eat the fruits, the fruit, but they said it was the fruit of knowledge, the fruit of
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, the knowledge of
Yes.
good from evil. So why is it a
Mm-hmm.
forbidden fruit? So you
Yes.
see now the contradiction that's there. So
Yes.
we are so grateful that you took time out of your busy schedule. Hey, y'all, she's going to be up at some conference over the weekend. And for her to come at such short notice to come and bless us with knowledge, I mean, I stand for this queen. I really stand for this queen. And before I finally go into it, too, just want to mention um, Miss Paula is going to come back. I am speaking on her behalf. If she doesn't fly down to the okay, I can she is going to come back and we are going to have another class on spiritually transmitted sexually transmitted demons or spiritually transmitted demons. I know I already have a YouTube video on that. Please go watch that video so that it will give you context for that class. This is a very important topic that people need to know about. Spiritually transmitted demons, sexually transmitted diseases, whatever the STD representation, the acronym is, it needs
Mm-hmm.
to be discussed, it needs to be put out there. We need to learn, we need to know so that we can fulfill our destiny. If you
Mm-hmm.
need to get a hold of me, please go to my website, tochi.us, T as in Thomas, O as in Oliver, C as in Charlie, H as in Henry, I as in India.us. Go book your divinations, your consultations. Reiki, we now offer Reiki. Get your books, get your online courses. We have courses in spirituality to get you started. Now we're going to start adding other things. I think, Ms. Paula, we need to add your products to our store. So
That would be
people,
lovely. Mm-hmm.
yes, yes. So we can talk
Mm-hmm.
about that later, how we can get your
Yes.
products and put it on our
Yes.
store. So if
Yes.
folks want to buy those herbs that you put out, and I think I need to get some of them herbs actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
They're great.
I need to
They're
get some.
really
Yeah,
good.
I need to get some. I need to get some of them herbs.
Yes.
I need to get me some of the herbs. Okay.
Oh,
Anyway,
by the way, they're very bitter, but bitter herbs always are very good for the body. So
who
it's
cares?
not
I
it's
want to
not a
show you.
designer herb. It's definitely some bitter stuff that's gonna work.
See this one, look at this. Okay, I got this from an African store. This is as
Yes.
bitter as all get out. But this is bitters. Okay,
Yes.
and I think it's from
Excellent.
Ghana. And
Very good.
here it's listed. It's for piles. They call hemorrhoids piles.
Right. Yes.
Over there in the continent. General
Yes.
debility, painful menstruation, which doesn't apply to me anymore. Thank you,
Yes.
Jesus. Yeah,
Yes.
stomach pain, blood purifier, loss of
Yeah.
appetite, diabetes,
Yeah.
hypertension.
Yeah.
So yes, we're used to the bitter
Liver.
stuff.
That's
We
all for the liver. All good stuff for the
Yes.
liver.
Yeah. So we already know that. So we need to
Yes.
put you in our store. We need to bring you back. We need you to come back and bless us with knowledge. Bless us with knowledge. All right. So let's go to our invocation. We're thankful to our Creator, to our guardian spirits, guardian angels. We're thankful to our ancestors. We're thankful to our spirit guides. We're thankful to the prophets and the messengers and all those in the unseen realms who support us, feed us, guide us, protect us, and fight for us. Even the battles that we don't know are going on, they take care of everything for us. For all of this and more, we are grateful. Ashe, Ise,
Hey,
Kamagu,
thank you.
Tokosa,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Ayibabo.
so much for having me. Thank you,
Amen.
everyone, for bringing your
Amen.
energy. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Tokoza,
you. Thank
Kamagu, Lesedi, Ayibabo, Enyenho. How do you say amen in the
I
UI?
mean,
Amen. Okay, so amen, amen. So mote be, it is done,
Mhm.
it is finished, it is complete, it is done. We are grateful. So bye everybody. Love you all. Watch out for our class on Saturday. I don't know what's gonna, with everything that Miss Paula dropped today, I don't even think I'm gonna do a Saturday class. I'm just gonna be marinating in this knowledge. Just be sitting up in here, turning on, like a rotisserie chicken. I'm gonna be like marinating,
You're so funny.
marinating. Like a how the rotisserie chicken be rolling around and marinating. I'm marinated. No, don't teach me no more classes. I learned a lot on Wednesday. No, let me just marinate over here. Don't bother me. I'm just
Oh.
marinating over here. Take care, everybody.